Howdy, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. My name is Crinitix,
And I'm Stoic, and this is the Community Chat Show.
your one-stop shop for all the latest in the CCS community.
With us today is Wolfe, Captain and DPS for Can't Connect Stuns, CCS2. Welcome to the show, Wolfe. We're glad you're here. Tell us about yourself.
I'm Wolf. I am captain for Stuns. I'm I'm exhausted right now. We've spent the last 2 weekends just remodeling house and having all the demo in our channel, so you've probably seen some of it. And had a bowling tournament the last 2 days, so that was fun. I haven't bowled in about a year because me and my wife both started going back to school this last year.
There is a million things there to unpack. we got the packing of the house, we got the bowling, we got the school. Let's start with the bowling though. I think that's most relevant to our conversation. Tell us about this bowling tournament that you've been in.
So it was the citywide tournament this weekend, and my dad sent me a message last week, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to do this? We need a fifth guy for the team bowling, and then there's singles and doubles on the next day." And it's like, yeah, I can do that. It was 9-pin no tap, so if you get 9 pins on your first ball, it's a strike. And this morning, there was 6 people that bowled 300s because of that.
Wow.
What's the reasoning for the nine pin no tap? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I don't know the reasoning behind it, but I ended up bowling like a 650 series for the day, so, and singles, and that's not counting my handicap.
I know nothing about bowling. Is 650 like a high game or like?
So 300 is the highest game you can have in bowling. So I was 250 shy out of 3 games from that.
That's not bad.
My dad bowled a 297 today in one of his games. So he was
Wow.
he choked on the last throw.
Oh no.
But he bowled a legitimate 300 earlier in the year, so it's like he doesn't care if he gets it in this.
So, is bowling something that you and your family have been doing competitively for a long time?
Yeah, I was on the high school league. Oh god, that's been a long time. That's probably been 16 years. And then after that, I didn't bowl for 6 or 7 years, and it's like I want to get back into bowling, so I started bowling with my dad when he asked me, and then me and my wife started a team on the Sunday league, and then it's like I am bowling way too many times during the week. This is exhausting. And then I went back to just bowling with my dad on Thursdays. And then this last year it's school and stuff. And it's like, no, I can't do that.
Wow. And so like has HOTS been a like we're gonna just skip ahead for a moment to the HOTS stuff. Like has HOTS like replaced this bowling in your life? Like is this last year like the bowling has gone down and the HOTS has gone up?
No, HOTS has been pretty consistent because bowling usually ends at 9. It's like, well, I'll go play HOTS for a couple more hours till it's bedtime. And it was only the 1 day a week when it was league, too, when we were bowling on Sundays also.
That's why you can never scrim my team.
Well, you don't play late enough.
It's true. It's true. We Easterners and old men. That's another one.
I mean, I'm like middle of the age on our team. May and Murad are both in their 40s, mid 40s, and then I'm 31, and then we got Brainer being a baby. Which, on that note, Brainer, full disclaimer, Brainer does not speak for everyone on CCS and does not hold the same views as him.
I had no idea that Murad was older than you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's like 41 or 2.
The secret deets. And then Slick's between you and Brainer, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think he's 26 or 28, somewhere around there.
Gotcha. Well, good to know.
So, let's I guess start Um, when did you start playing Heroes of the Storm?
I started playing in closed beta, and I had friends that got into alpha, and then they won keys into closed. They're like, man, you should play this. And it's like, yeah, I didn't get invited to play it like all of you did. And they're like, well, we'll go play some league so you have an idea what we're doing when we get into HOTS. And then I think it was like right after my birthday in February, it's like, I'm just going to pay the $40 to get the key. And I started playing then because I didn't like spending 50 minutes in one game. And it's like, what is this last hitting thing? I was not good at it.
Interesting. I didn't know you could buy beta keys or alpha keys. Was it alpha keys?
Beta.
Beta keys. Okay.
Yeah. I do not
Okay.
have the wonderful alpha portrait.
The OG flex.
Yeah.
So what did that kind of look like then? Because you said you already had friends that were getting into the game with you. Like, were you guys playing as a like a 5 stack way back then, or?
We were playing usually 3 to 5. There was one of them was like always wanting to play Gazlo, one always wanted to play Illidan. I could not do anything worth anything. It was like I was like, oh, there's a skill shot based hero. Well, we can't let Wolfe play that because he's not going to land a single skill shot. And they're like, you can't position either. And then Johanna came out and they're like, you're playing her because it doesn't matter if you can position or not because she has a no shit button. And they just put me on her all the time.
So, oh, sorry. Do you have something? Sorry.
No, I'm just thinking like starting with Johanna like makes sense why later on you became a tank main. But we'll get to that.
So, how long then did it take you to kind of find your way into the competitive scene? What did that kind of look like?
So Chair League was around and I tried to get all of them to join Chair League. And it's like we got tanks, we got bruisers, we have the Gazlo main decided he was going to just be the healer because no one wanted to heal. So he was always healing. It's like, so we got a scrim lined up, and the first scrim we did, we got rolled. And they all said, screw this, we're not doing it. And then I waited till another friend was like, hey, let's do this Heroes Lounge thing because they'll fill out our team if we can't find people. And we got 3 people out of our roster, and it was like the last day before a match was supposed to start, and I finally got hold of the 5th guy. It's like, hey, you're on our roster and we're supposed to play this week. He's like, oh, okay. And it's like, well, we were like, one actually was a healer, one was DPS only, and it's like, one of us is tanking and one of us is offlaning, and I don't know how to offlane, and he did. And then my friend was the other DPS. And we went by Who Knows Gaming because questionable variant had the little question marks, and it's like, no one knows anything about gaming.
So, how did it go? Your first Chair League match or tournament?
It was Heroes Lounge. I think season 4 was our first season.
Okay.
And we lost the first week because one of our DPS players couldn't make it, and we got rolled by the team that beat us. And after that, we beat like every single team like 2-0 until like the last week, and we won that one 2-1. And then playoffs hit, and we lost like in the first round after making it to the playoffs. In fact, it
Yeah.
was, I think Lazy Hydra's team, Please Clap, beat us in the first round.
Shout out to Lazy Hydra. What was that? What's the secret though? From like going from this like Chair League scrim, like oh this isn't gonna happen, to then just like rolling the regular season of Heroes Lounge. And like you guys had like been playing no other competitive. Like this is like a let's all go competitive and then run it, right?
So it was just 2 of us. So like we had 3 other people at Heroes Lounge. Like these people want a team, and they're like they're going with you, and good luck, because that's what Heroes Lounge did. And the other DPS player was like a KTZ one trick and just a nightmare to play against. Like, he just would hit chains out of nowhere, and it's like, I thought we were leaving this fight, and you just hit 2 people and killed them both, and now we're going back. And that's kind of how most of the season went.
Interesting. And then by the playoffs, I'm assuming they got a hold of your secret strategy of having this KTZ one trick.
Yeah, that probably played a factor. It was like in our first season of NGS that we found out that he could also one trick a Mephisto to like the same success. So then we would see like KTZ, Mephisto, and then like a Jaina band every single match. It's like, I guess I need to play a tank that I want.
So if I'm understanding this right, like the you and the friend and the 3 free agents played Heroes Lounge, good regular season, didn't make it through the playoffs, and then the 5 of you moved on as a 5-man to NGS.
We lost the offlane
Oh, okay.
because his girlfriend said it was taking too much time. But
White
he's like,
hacker OP.
yeah. So he's like, hey, this guy plays offlane and he'll fit with you guys perfectly. We're like, okay. So contacted him. He joined us and he had like a level 100 and something Rexar, and it was like, okay. He knows what he's doing. And we ended up having a rough start because we got placed in Div B, and it's like, this is a lot harder than Heroes Lounge. Because we were like, oh, I want to say it was like Div 2? We were in the same division as CCS and Heroes Lounge. And it was like, the difference between Div B and that was just night and day. It was like, I don't think we belong here. Because I think we lost to like the first 3 teams. It was like 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, and it's like, this is awful.
Oh.
Yeah.
For timeline's sake, what season of NGS was this? Do you remember?
Season 7.
Okay, so season 7 of NGS, you make the transition to the good side from the Sith.
Yeah.
Are any of these players that you're playing with at this time? Is this anybody that we might know?
So a couple of them are still playing. There's Lupus 64 on heavy slaps, and Crazy Boots. She spells it like BEWTS. But they're a Canadian couple, and she joined us like the next season after. And they're playing on heavy slaps now. And they're the only 2 that I was on a team with that are still playing. And Eminem Hitman was the friend I started with. And apparently going straight from Heroes Lounge to NGS in one go was too much. And he's like, this timeline's too rough. I need a break. And he hasn't come back since.
Oh, no. Like, has he come back to HOTS since? Or is it like just is competitive on the shelf, but he's still playing HOTS?
He's still playing HOTS. He's playing with his friends in Ohio, and they generally have a one-trick Butcher friend that's playing all the time. Like, it's Butcher, whatever. He usually fills. Like, he'll play healer, auto DPS, sometimes tank, and one of the other ones I think is trying out for a team for the coming up season. So he may join from the friend group. I keep sending him stuff from the CCS channel. It's like, hey, this is what's going on. You guys get your guys that you want to play with here.
The missionary. We love it.
Yeah, for sure. CCS is an amazing community for any new people looking to get into the scene.
Yes, it is. This is beyond the most welcoming community I've ever seen. All those dad jokes around.
Absolutely.
So, season 7, you're playing with a squad. You're tanking here. Were you like the captain of the team at this time? Were you like a team leader, or were you just like still like saying, I'm still kind of new to competitive, I'm trying to figure this out?
Yeah, I was still the captain because that's just kind of what I had, and Heroes Launch because there's two of us. And we're like, well, you're gonna be the captain since you signed the team up. And well, I signed us up for Heroes Lounge or NGS, and it's like still captain. And so everyone had to contact me, or I'd contact them, and then it's trying to schedule everything.
Yeah.
Like our KTZ one trick like never practiced. Like he just played quick match all the time. Our healer would be on, which I found out like both of them were like high school students. Like
Wow.
one was like a sophomore when we started, and the other was just graduating that first year.
Hmm.
And it was fun watching. Like it's like, yeah, I just want to play Anduin, list all the games that I can. And it's like the other guy's like, I just want to play KTZ and Mephisto. It's like we can make those work.
So it kind of sounds like you kind of got shoehorned into being the captain then. Like, did you kind of? That's what I'm looking for. Like, were you like bringing down the the hammer on them? Like, okay, guys, if I'm captain, you got to listen to me, or was it just kind of like a you just kind of set up the matches and everyone just kind of did their own thing?
I would usually send everyone a message like, hey, this is when they want to play. And they're like, yeah, I can make that work. And then like after that first season, it's like, yeah, I'm in high school and my parents don't like me playing at like 11 o'clock at night. Because
On the family computer.
Yeah, because Valk doesn't play till like 10 o'clock on Central Time. We're like, yeah, it's getting really late. I can't do this kind of time frame.
Mm-hmm. So, kind of take us into that. Like, how did you end up meeting Valk? You mentioned playing against CCS in Heroes League in Heroes Lounge, right?
Yeah, we played. It's almost been exactly 2 years since the first time I've played them in a competitive environment, and we ended up swapping tanks in the match. Like he played Garrosh the first time, and I played Joe, and then the next game I played Garrosh and he played Joe, and it's like this guy's a better tank than I am. But we had the one trick KTZ that just makes everyone miserable.
And did you like reach out to Valk after the game and be like, "Yo, you're a great tank. Like, I'd love to get some pointers." Like, how does the? I imagine that like Wolfe coming to CCS is a connection through Valk. So how did that relationship start?
That's where it ended for the first couple of years. I don't think I even messaged him after that, and then it was like, oh, it was like season 9, team like fell apart. Some of them were like, I'm done, not gonna play after the season started, and then one of the other guys was like, yeah, if those two aren't there, I'm not playing. It's like, well, at this point, the team's kind of just done then.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, well, I guess I'll just go look for a new team. And I saw Samuro was needing players, and it's like, I'll try out with them. Maybe I can play damage instead of being a tank. And so we had another guy that was willing to tank, but had slight anger issues, and he was removed from the team, and I stepped up to finish the season as tank, and then we found Brainer in the off season because Slick was added with like the last 2 or 3 weeks, I want to say.
Hmm. Yeah, that season 9 was definitely like a transition of like the old, and like the just kind of like to like this like slow transition to the new team. But you mentioned that like you were willing to swap from damage to tank already. Was that just out of necessity, or were you looking for like a role swap in characters anyway?
I was really sick of playing tank at that point. It was like almost 2 years of just competitive tank, and it's like I know there's better tank players than me, and I'm not the best at body blocking.
Mm.
Like you see a tank that can body block consistently, that's not me. I'm gonna probably land a good blessed shield or a mosh that gets 2 or 3, and that's about where I end. But if you want like consistent body blocking, positioning, and that, no, I'm like a mid low tier tank.
So how would you then kind of on that that scale that you're weighing yourself as like a mid-level tank, where would you put yourself as far as like your DPS comfort, right? Because it seems like a lot of your competitive experience is in tanking. Has that kind of transition kind of hurt your progression, or do you feel like you fit into this more?
I kind of know when I can get away with stupid things because I know what tank cooldowns are. So it's like, I know when you can hurt me and lock me down. So if I judge that well, I can kind of get away with more than I should. So with Greymane, it's like, okay, I'm going to go in. I know when they'll be able to stun me with Johanna or the ETC stuff, and then it's like I'll just back out before they can do that. Except when I'm playing, and it's like I shouldn't dive this because they'll they'll stun me and kill me, and then I do that 2 seconds later, and it's like I just said I shouldn't do that, and it happens anyway.
Yeah, the Greymane syndrome.
Yeah, the Greymane syndrome.
On the topic of Greymane, right? I mean, people kind of know you like Wolfe, Greymane. He's a werewolf. Like, how did that? Was that just kind of like a hey, I go by Wolfe, I'll play Greymane, or is there anything kind of to that?
So I like playing melee, but I'm not the best at positioning, and Greymane's kind of both of those things. And I like his artwork and the fact that he can dive in, be aggressive, and then it's like, well, I have a oh shit button, let's dive out now. It's fun watching like pros play Greymane because it's like, wait, how did you do that? It's like I remember watching, I think it was HGC, someone like dove in, was attacking, and then they pressed R to go back into human form for Cursed Bullet, and then they went back in after that. It's like, hold on, you did that little jump back with the R because it made you miss a skill shot because it has like a mini dash from it. It's like super small, but like it still moves you back just a little bit because you still have to do the roll back into human. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
sure that's how it works.
Hmm.
Well, I've learned something, and I play Greymane a ton. Interesting. Um, that's pretty sweet. So like the melee thing though, like I mean, I've only ever seen you. Whenever I played with you or played against you, I've only ever seen you play ranged characters. Like, is the melee thing something you're like practicing? Is like that like in the lab you're working towards bringing out the Michael and level 0 tool?
That's what I was like originally trying to like get good at when we did Heroes on, was just playing Zeratul a lot. It's like because I didn't want to play tank that first season. I wanted to play DPS, and I had a friend couldn't play Zeratul. It's like, well, we're going to be playing competitive. Someone has to know it. And then it's like you're playing tank, and it's like I just like leveled Zera from 5 to 17. This was useless. And so every once in a while, I'll get to play some of the few bruisers I know. Like, I think the first season in stuns, yeah, I got to play Thrall in one of our first games. And it's like, our immortal race was bad. Like, it was leaming, and after it's like level 10, it's like, okay, now we just walk up, press Earthquake, and then we just kill everyone.
It's crazy to me you can remember this. You could remember like the series against CCS 2 years ago and the tanks you played. I can't even tell you the team I played last week. I mean, Chad's in chat. I think we played a team last week, but I don't actually remember. That's crazy.
Isn't Thursday your guys' match day? You wanted to scrim, and we had two people not say anything.
I I I. I don't remember. So like, what is it like? But I'm curious here. Like beyond like my own memory issues, which is another topic for another time. Like how do you remember these things so vividly? Is this like, do you have a good memory? I mean, maybe Kryn is a dumb question, and you can remember all of this, but like Wolf has like this great memory of like I played Johanna game one, he played Garrosh, and then we swapped. Did that series stand out to you, or do you just remember this Wolf? I guess because of the relationship with Valk.
Um, I couldn't have remembered exactly what it was, but like since then, I'm like, man, I know we played like sometime around like the April, May area, and it's like I want to see when we actually played. So I saw the match history in the last 2 months, and it's like, hey, we're about to play for the first time in about 2 years. So I saw it, but no, I
Mm-hmm.
have a fairly good memory when I have an interest in the topic, and it's like never gonna forget it. My dad's like, couldn't you use that for something useful instead of like stupid card games and video games? It's like, what are you talking about?
I was just gonna ask. Like, it seems like you have a really close relationship with your dad. And I was gonna ask if your dad plays games, but it sounds like that's a
No.
negative.
No. No, me and my dad were not close growing up. We were like opposites. It's like I wanted to be inside, I wanted to play games, and he was Mr. Iron Man, always exercising. My brother was closer to that. Like he would exercise all the time too. It's like I'm doing cross country just so I can play basketball. Like that's the only reason I'm running right now
Hmm.
because I can run faster than the other people, so and longer. So it's like, well, you can make B team because you're faster than everyone.
Huh.
So, I'm sorry, did I catch that right? You said you did cross country to help you in basketball?
Yeah, because all it was running. You like run 5 miles a day every day, and then basketball. If you can run for 5 miles, you're going to be able to sprint most of the game.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you kind of always been like an athletic person as far
Uh,
as like interest?
I was really only interested in basketball for the most part. Like, did swim team because parents were like, "Hey, you should do that." And it's like, "Okay, we'll do swim team because you want us to." And then it's like, "If you want to play basketball, you need to do cross country because you're not playing football." All right, we'll do that. And then it's like, "I'll play tennis in the spring." And then it's like, summer hits around. It's like back to swimming, and then it's like, "Well, you're already swimming and running for two of your sports. You should do triathlons for kids." And it's like, all right. So we would go on like 20-mile bike rides over the weekend, and then which that was interesting. I liked biking. That was the fun part because I could always beat my brother because I had stronger legs than him, but he was a faster runner.
Hmm.
Because I'm like my bone structure was always like double his. Like he is a twig where I'm more like a brick.
So I'm guessing, like, it sounds like you wouldn't have had a lot of time for games growing up.
Uh,
I mean, you're a three sport
no.
athlete with triathlons and 20 miles. That's a lot. I mean, for me at least, running or biking or anything for 20 miles would take me a long time.
I think we could finish the 20-mile bike rides in about an hour, which you really gotta pedal when you're doing that. But like we went to Lubbock, Texas for a race, and they had a hill, and after it my brother was like, "Yeah, I rode the brakes all the way down this hill," and it's like I wanted to see how fast my speedometer would go, and I did not. I pedaled for like the first part and then just coasted down, and my speedometer said I went 45 miles an hour on a bike.
Whoa.
And my thought was like, if I hit a rock, I'm going to crash and seriously hurt myself. But going 45 on a bike, that was fun.
So when did you kind of get into video games then?
So we had a Super Nintendo when we were little, and we got the N64 when it came out, and we played Smash Brothers all the time on that. In fact, I still have that in one of my boxes somewhere.
The original N64 you had as a child.
Yeah,
Cool.
and my uncle lived with us growing up. I think we were like 12 when he moved out, but he lived with us and he had a PC, and I'd go down there and I'd watch him play games. And he was playing Age of Empires, Heroes of Might and Magic. And it's like, "Can I play that when you're not here?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I'd go play Age of Empires and Heroes of Might and Magic. And then he would come upstairs every once in a while and we'd play Spider-Man, where you had Venom and Spider-Man as playable characters on the side scroller for the Super Nintendo. And then every once in a while, my dad would play Super Knockout, I think, on the Super Nintendo, and it took him and my uncle beat it. Like, and it's like, how do you guys do this? I don't know how long they spent, but like, they really went at it to try and win that game. And it's like the last people would, like, if you guard, they would just hit your gloves and they'd be red. And it's like, well, now you can't guard, you have to dodge. And being like 6, it's like, how do you dodge? Like, you press the side button. It's like, oh. But
Yeah.
they were able to beat it and I couldn't.
So it sounds like you had some of this game growing up and some of this learning environment. When was it like? I always feel like it's interesting. Like people who play MOBAs, I feel like, are more inclined to play PC games than console games, and maybe that's just a silly assumption. But like, when was it that like you went from saying like, oh, like I like these, Smash Bros and the joystick style games to like the PC games? Like, did you get a PC when you were a kid, or is that like a newfangled gaming device for you?
We had the family computer that I could pretty much throw any game that I wanted onto it,
Mm-hmm.
which, so my uncle had his Heroes of Might and Magic and the Age of Empires, and then I would get my own copies for our computer because I wanted to play them, and well, I can't always play on his computer. And then I was at a friend's house and he had Diablo 2, and it's like, this is the coolest game ever. It's like, I need this. So my parents got me the expansion pack, and like we were racing to see who could kill Andariel the fastest. And it's like my friend got her killed at like level 12, and it's like, I can beat that. And I killed her at level 8, and he's like, how? I'm like, I ran straight to her and ignored everyone else and just used bash the whole time. It's like, that's not fair. It's like, barbarians just have high strength. I'm just gonna hit her.
No idea what that means, but I imagine that's an optimization of some sort.
They just hit hard. That's all I did, was just kept hitting her. I think I had like a whole stack of potions just for poison healing, and it's like all the health potions, and I just ran. It's like hit, hit, hit. It's like half my health bar's gone. Run like a little girl, and just keep doing it until she's dead. And then it's like several years later, it's like, oh, this is rushing. Like, oh, I don't even have to play the game. I can just level up and do in-game stuff now.
Yeah. Man, I love Diablo 2.
I am conflicted on the remaster. It's like, it looks so much better, and it's like, but is it going to be on the Switch? Because I'd like to play with my son. Like, I want it on the Switch.
I think I did hear about like console. I'm not 100% sure about the Switch though.
Yeah, the Switch is the newest console I own.
Yeah, that would be cool.
To buy a different console.
Who do you think you'll be playing if you do end up playing it? Like what class?
Druid.
Yeah,
They got wolves and werewolves and
true.
tornadoes, because tornadoes were their own element, so they ignored all damage resistance.
Hmm. Yeah, the two I'm kind of curious about are the Druid and the Necromancer. I want to see what the remastered like minions look like for everyone.
Ooh, I didn't even think about the necromancers. Those were fun to play, because if you got enough skeletons in a group, you could just flag out the whole game, and everyone would be mad. They're like, stop summoning your summons. It's like, but I only have 60 of the total pets right now. It's like, yeah, stop, because they're ruining the game for the rest of us. Which you could do the same thing with like Meteor Sorceress. Just keep holding right click till you have no mana, and all the flames would just lag people out.
So you get Stoic?
I just have no idea. Like, I played Diablo 3 on my Switch for like until I beat the Butcher, I think, and I was like, well, this was fun, and I just went and just like played more HOTS.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So you I had a train of thought there. So you mentioned playing like tournaments, bowling tournaments with your dad, but you also said like you guys didn't really get along the best when you were younger. Was there kind of a turning point, if this is okay talking about, where you guys kind of like, kind of clicked later on?
It was probably after my son was born. It's like he wants to spend time with his grandson, so
Hmm.
I think his new wife helps a lot with that because she is definitely more social than him. Like, they were living out at the lake, and then my grandpa sent us a message. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna go have Easter at your dad's house. It's in X town." And it's like, hold on, wait, what do you mean it's in this town? He lives at the lake. And they're like, no, he moved to this town. Like, when? And it's like, a couple months ago.
Oh
It's
my
like,
gosh.
thanks, Dad, for telling us that. So, and then we like, he didn't even tell us he got married. It's like his wife was like, "Hey, did your dad tell you anything big?" And it's like, "No." And you're like, "Oh, well, we got married 2 weeks ago." It's like, well, congratulations, but you didn't tell us that. She's like, go figure. He doesn't tell anyone anything.
It's funny. My parents kind of did something similar. I Dad and stepmom were like, "Hey, notice anything different?" Just one night at family dinner, there's like a ring on her finger, and no one on the table realized. Just like, no. Um, so let's kind of expand more. So it was season 7 of NGS when you switched over from Heroes Lounge, and then it was season 9 when you came to join CCS. Am I
Yep.
getting that correctly? Okay. So what did that kind of look like with the first draft of the team? Was that like who's currently playing, or?
It was May, me, Murad. Oh, there was Pina.
Mm.
I can't remember who the last person was. So it may have
Mime,
been. It may
Bird.
have been. It may have been Miss Wind Up Bird for a little bit, but we were still trying to find um a designated healer because Murad was healing for a while, and
Mhm.
like Tehran's his best healer probably, but none of us can hold a candle to Slick. Like that's that's not our wheelhouse. He's a monster on healing.
And you guys went by currently chasing Samurai back then, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then kind of talk us through the development of the team from its like kind of first state to where you are now.
I think just because May was the only person left, it's like, well, we kind of should get a new name because we're not really the Samuro squad that was. And I thought of Can't Connect Stuns at some point. It's like, what do we think of this? And it's like, yeah, we like that. And then Val got us this awesome logo, and it's like, this is like one of the coolest things ever.
Yeah, shout out to Crow, amazing artist.
Oh yeah, Crow's amazing with that.
So I'm interested here, like when, like at this beginning of the team, Mainsky was the kind of a tie between the old guard and the new. Um, how come like was Mainsky the captain at one point and then you became the captain? How did that work?
I think I don't remember if he was the captain or he became the captain with how people left.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he was originally it, but since I've done the scheduling and stuff before, I was willing to keep doing it. It's kind of, and then it's like, well, I can now kind of force them to play on X day.
Solid, solid. And so now, so I'm curious. Like then, like and we've talked to Mainsky. We had him on the show, and I just can't remember. Did Mainsky bring you onto the team, or like I'm just trying to like, or did Valk bring people on as people were looking to leave from the original CCS2 squad?
May brought us. May brought me on at least, and I'm pretty sure he brought Slick. I would assume he found Murad too. Like he was I think working overtime to try and find people to fill the team, as everyone was just like, no, we're kind of done with this because we're losing or something happened. I don't exactly know why everyone left the team originally, because they said that 2 was like beating CCS frequently in scrims, and our first scrims when we got Brainer were train wrecks. It was like 04, 04, 04, and it's like, hey, we got a game, guys. And then, yeah, we would start tying, and then like either we're trying really weird stuff between the two teams, and it's like one of us may squeak out 4s or 3s again.
How did it feel? I mean, like CCS 2, from my understanding, was invented to be like the CCS 1 punching bag. Like, did you know that coming on, and how did that feel to originally just get 0 forward in scrims and have that be the purpose of your existence?
I think Kryn made a pretty good meme about it. No, I didn't know that we were the punching bag to begin with. Valk's like, know your role.
So you didn't know you were the punching bag.
I
Okay.
didn't know we were the punching bag coming in, but they're fun. It's easy to always have a scrim block with them, so it makes that easier. And it's like, well, if we're playing CCS, we know we can do something weird, and if it doesn't work in that, then we probably don't want to try that in a real match.
On the topic of something weird, I think of all the CCS teams, at least currently, you're probably the only one that like has a reputable Cho'Gall. How did that kind of come to be?
Brainer didn't know about Cho'Gall when we were talking about it. And it's like, yeah, you have to have 2 people play the one hero, and it's like you can nano that and you both get the benefit. And he's like, wait, I get to be a body and someone else has to do all the damage? They kind of have to follow me and be my like little driver seat passenger, and they're kind of screwed when I position badly. And it's like the first time you play that, he's like, I love this. Can we make sure this works in a scrim? Or not scrim, a match. It's like, yeah, we'll play it in the very first NGS game that we get.
Wow.
It's like, we didn't care what map it was. We were like, we're playing Cho'Gall. So we got put on Towers of Doom and got Ana, Mathael, Greymane, and Cho'Gall.
I will never forget that game. That was one of the greatest games of Heroes of the Storm I've ever watched.
Yeah. Then we ended the season on the same like comp. Like we got the Ana, we got the Cho'Gall, we got I think Mathael too. And those were the only 2 games that we played Cho'Gall the whole entire season. It's like start it, end it on the season.
So for any up and coming Cho'Gall wannabe one tricks in the chat, what were some kind of roadblocks that you encountered when trying to figure out how to play this weird character?
I'm not the person to ask that.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's like, we know Ana's disgusting with it. Like, if you nano those, they both get the benefit and they're going to ruin people. Or you can throw it on Mathael, because if you're drafting him and then they ban out Cho'Gall, it's like, you still got a really good nano target. It's like, just a couple of things you can audible to other things that are still really strong. Like, you can't have the comp entirely set to where if they ban Cho or Gall, because we've even seen it this season, we haven't even looked at it yet, and it's like, why are you guys banning Gall? It's like, oh, we have Tychus and X hero. It's like, of course they're gonna ban Cho Gall.
Who like? So I'm curious. You made it sound like you weren't the mastermind. Like I asked somebody else. I noticed that you're like a mock draft extraordinaire. Like you're always doing the mock drafts. Do you draft for your team?
I can dictate some of it, but at the end of the day, some of them are like, no, I want to play this hero or this will go good. And then you have Murad, who has like probably 30 people that he could play on a given day. It's like, I'm just gonna have to let you assume you know what you're wanting, and if it makes sense, we'll go with it. Or if you're going to pick X here, it's like, well, I'll have to pick up something else, like wave clear or more team fight or camps. Like
For
he's
sure.
the hardest person to like figure out what he's playing. Like I have an idea what he usually wants, but outside of that, it's like Rainer's fairly easy to know what he wants to play. He's willing to show what he wants to play. And we try to limit the map pool to things that work for us.
That makes sense. You kind of touched on a couple fundamental elements of team comps, right? Like wave clear, camp clear. Do you guys have like a sort of checklist you go down when you're thinking like, okay, what are we missing? Like, 5 or 10 things that are like, okay, we need X, Y, Z. And then if as long as we have that, we're good. Or do you guys kind of just like free aim it when you're going in?
We usually can tell what we want because we've been as a team for second season now. It's like we know what we're starting to get used to, and we know who has the wave clear and what levels they'll have wave clear if they're not a wave clear hero. And that makes it a little easier to figure drafts out. It's like, I think we had a game where we had Sylv and Hanzo, and it's like, okay, well, we don't have any wave clear to level 4. So we had Joe to help pick that up.
And so it seems like this then the drafting is kind of happening on the fly. Like people show what they want, and then you guys kind of do a little give and take to settle on a comp that you feel like is viable.
Yeah, that's probably the most accurate way to describe it.
So the mock drafts then, is that just for you to like? Is that just like part of your personal practice? Is that just something that you really enjoy doing? I'm curious, like if your team doesn't follow a draft like that.
It's a little bit of both. It's like I can at least figure out what people are looking for, and if it's like the other one, I was just had one with veggies, and it's like, yeah, if you actually picked Joe here, you would have just destroyed us. It's like, well, crap. I thought Varian would have been better. It's like, nope, you're wrong. You should have picked the Joe that you thought you needed. Instead of second guessing yourself and being wrong. So it's always good, like when you get veggies or John Knight, and they're like, this is why you're wrong. Yeah, this is why you're right.
Have you had moments in a game where you're like, oh, I've been here before, and veggies told me to pick Y X, or John Knight told me to pick Y. Have you had those kind of moments?
Yes. Playing against Falcon stuff. It's like they banned Falstad, they're playing Juice Pirates.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's valuable.
It was like one of the first scrims that we had with them. That's like, they're going to pick Juice Pirates because they banned Falstad. And they're like, how do you know this? It's like, because they banned Falstad. That's exactly what they're going to do on Cursed Hollow. They're like, no, they're not. It's like, they picked Juice Pirates, and like, they got our key, and it's like, okay, we were able to start stealing bosses because we had Greymane. And like, Medivh and Tyrael, because we got rid of the Morales, and then they were still able to do it.
It's funny. There are very few teams I think that would like create this like scrim partnership relationship, and then just run Juice Pirates. I mean, like only on CCS1 could you find somebody who would run Juice Pirates against you and not be memeing.
Oh, Murad hated it. He's like, this was like a waste of a game. It's like, yeah, but we gotta know how to play against this. He's like, it's still a waste. No one's gonna play this in GS. It's like, yes, they will. It's like, CCS1 will play this. Like, it's like, if they're not, someone else will. And I think Valk was coaching a team, and it's like, he's like, you guys are already like in last place. Like, just play Juice Pirates. No one's gonna see it coming in your division. It's like, I don't want to hear that, Valk. I don't want to know that you're telling people to play Juice Pirates.
Jeez. So I had a question. When we interviewed Brainer, there was a moment he described after your guys' play. I think it was a playoff match last season, where afterwards you had said, "Okay, well, good season. Who's coming back next season?" And Brainer had described that moment as very, I guess, heartwarming for him, right? Like realizing that you guys are more than just five guys playing together, right? It's you guys really have something there. Was there kind of a moment for you in your team's development where you kind of realized, like, I really like playing with these people?
Oh, it was like pretty early on. Like we're all making jokes and having a good time. It's like, I mean, Brainer's girlfriend is all of our girlfriend. He has to share his days with her, with us. Like we usually are like, hey, tell Emily we love her, like all the time. And she's like, oh, tell them I love them.
How did that start?
It was May. He heard like she was in the background or something. And he's like, hey, tell her I love her. And he's like, fuck you. And he's like, hey, May says he loves you, and she's like, oh, tell him I love him too. And after like 4 or 5 times, I'm like, hey, tell Emily I love her.
Emily doesn't
And
miss
then
a
I
beat.
Yeah, and then I think there was one day my wife was like, who'd you tell that to? I'm like, oh, it's Brainer's girlfriend. And she's like, oh, tell her I love her.
Oh, I love it. Wolfle's getting in there too.
Yeah.
Jeez.
It's like after like all that, like we had like 7 people saying that we all loved her, and it's like Brainer doesn't even get a full day for himself.
There you go. It seems like Osprey in chat says, seems like we need a new shout out.
Shout out.
Shout out to Emily.
Emily.
We love you, Emily. That's very funny.
That would be a good shout out. We'll have to win our next match for that.
Well, I hope so. We hope you guys win your next match.
I hope we win our next match too, since it's against CCS.
Oh, well, I didn't know that. Let's talk about that. What's 2 years ago was your first competitive match against them. Now 2 years later, here we are, captain of a team. I mean, like, how do you guys? Do you think you're gonna win?
I'm worried that they just sandbagged our last scrim and they're like, nope, we're going to come out strong, because I watched them play against CCK and they looked a lot stronger than we did against them.
Interesting. And do you think they would have sandbagged their last scrim, or did you guys have their number?
I don't think they sandbagged their scrim, but like we did win like all 4 of the matches, and it was we all got to try new things. And you can't ever tell who's showing up on CCS. They have like 9 people. It's like if X person's here, they're can do X comp, and now they can do Y comp, and now it's Z. It's like
Oh.
it's a nightmare to try and think of what they're going to do.
Yeah, how have you guys prepared? Like, not being biased. I hope CCS wins, but how is CCS 2 prepared to get that win over CCS 1?
We're just gonna have to play to our strengths and play our game and not let them play theirs. Like that's what we're gonna need to do, which is generally how most people win their games.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, but like, so enlighten us. Like, what is like Greymane? Like that's one of your strengths, but like, what is the CCS 2 strength? Like, what would that game look like to be an easy win?
An easy win. Wow.
I don't
Well, I
think
mean,
there
if
is easy.
if CCS 2 plays their game and CCS 1 doesn't play theirs, that sounds like an easy win. Maybe I don't mean to belittle.
I mean, that's kind of how all the games end up being. If you can play yours and they can't play theirs, it's like, yeah, you're gonna have a good time. Like, one of our first wins of the season was May AFK pushing a lane all the way to keep. It's like we were winning fights as a 4-man to their 5 while he did that.
You mean Mainski, not the okay.
Yeah, like he AFK pushed with D.Va the whole entire game. And it's like stole their camp, went back to the lane, and used a turret on the fort so he could pick up another one. And it's like they're literally going to let you do that, and it's like, all right, well the objective's up. We're going to go to the point till this is happening. And okay, we're going to get off point. We need to start backing up because they're going to Falling Sword Light Bomb combo us. they did, and they caught Slick in it. They killed him, and all of us started like leaving, and we saw them taking the heel camp, and we decided to engage 3v5 and win because they used all their ults. We knew they used all their ults. So Johanna had like 25% health, and it's like, oh, we can kill that. We'll at least be able to take that. And it's like they dumped every single bit of damage on Brainer with Diablo, and he didn't die. He walked out with like 200 health after we killed 4 of them. It's like, I guess that's how we win fights. Just let them waste everything on Brainer, because me and Murad had full health. Like, went into that full health, walked out full health. They didn't touch us once. So, like, that's us playing to our strength, is just being able to take stupid fights that shouldn't work.
I feel like this is another good example of your memory being far superior to ours, because like, knowing like all the details of the fight just off the top of your head, like wow.
Oh, I watched that clip like 20 times. I'm like, how did we do this? It's like, I had to see it, and it's like, oh, that was really cool. And it's like, oh, I need to send that to someone. It's like, you send that to another person. I'm like, guys, did you see what we did here? It's like, we won this 3v5. It's like, I had remembered like Veggies had a video that said free isn't free, and it's like, this video, like this little clip was perfect to that. It's like, yeah, they had all their ults, and I told him that, and he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I thought you guys were gonna have the Diva come in and wipe them, and you literally had Diva AFK pushing this whole game, and you literally won a 3v5.
Before we get too far, what free isn't free? Break that down for us.
So like, if you have a man advantage, like you're 4v5, you're generally gonna think, okay, well, we're in a better position, we can win pretty much anything right now. But if you've used all your ults, you're kind of at a disadvantage at this point, because they can still have their ults. Like, when we walked into that, we had 2 out of our 3 ults. Like, Murad hit a like 3-person black hole with Tass. It's like, that's enough to ruin anyone. And then I think I mind controlled one person, and it's like, there's a good couple seconds where people can't fight. So it's just being able to take unfair fights is helpful. Like, a fight can be unfair even if you're down people. Like, because I think the Gazla had shown, like, in lane, they had 3 people on the camp, and the healer was in a bush. So, tank died, Gaz came back, and we're still down a person at that, but they focused everything on Diablo with W build, who can just fire stomp and heal for days and lower damage. And it came down to, yeah, they're in a bear spot, they know they're in a bear spot, but we called they have 0 ult, and we had ours, and it became an advantage for us.
Who made that shot call? Do you remember?
Oh, it was me or Brainer. Like, watching the clip, like, almost all of us moved at like the exact same time.
Oh, you'll love it.
Like we were almost to the mid lane. It's like, oh, they're almost dead. We can kill that. It's like, just quick kill. It's like, more kills. It's like, they just kept dying.
That's awesome. That's a cool, like, that's a great shot call to make. Like, wow, that's extremely aggressive to recognize, like, hey, like, actually, they're low health, they've got low resources. The resources of our 3 are more than the resources of their 5. Like, what a great call.
I don't think we would have made that call if at least me hadn't seen the video Veggies put out. Like, it's stupid risky, but I think that fight gave us like a 3-level lead after it.
Wow. I mean, so that brings up a question for me. Like, you know, J Sylph, incredible player, great coach, has good content as well. I love this format of his videos that he posts on YouTube. What other kind of HOTS related content do you consume? Like, where do you go for your study of HOTS?
I've been using a lot of the like Nexus Schoolhouse and the stuff Zane Hyde's been putting out recently. Like, I used to watch a lot of the Not Paradox stuff, and I still do, but like Zane Hyde, Cav, and Veggies is usually what I've been going to. And then I'll be on Reddit about it every day, and it's like, anything new on here? It's like, no, nothing's new. Or it's like, oh, that's new. Let's go read that.
Yeah, I've never really used Reddit, to be honest.
Wait,
Like,
what? For HOTS or in general?
Uh, well, just in general, but
What?
yeah.
Are you kidding me?
that's usually where I find the patch notes, or like, hey, there's a new tweet with an emblem of X thing. It's like, are we getting new hero, new map, new skins? What is it? It's like, you'll see people who list like 20 different things of what it could be, and it's like, which one of you are right? Or you'll see the thing but not Belial, and it's like,
Yeah.
I see that name.
I
I know this is a joke.
Can't believe you don't use Reddit, Corinne. That's nuts.
That is crazy. Like,
There's a few social medias I never really got on the hype train for. Like, I never made an Instagram. I made a Twitter once, but I barely use that. Like, I don't know. I just
But like Reddit's not like social media. It's like just like the internet. It's like having all the trolls on the internet do your sorting to find the best stuff out there for you.
yeah, like I mean, even Veggies post stuff on Reddit every once in a while. Like, I was using Reddit, I think originally for like Elder Scrolls Legends and Yu-Gi-Oh content, and then it's like, it's like, oh, they'll have Heroes of the Storm for this. I'll go look at that. And it's like, I don't use like like HOTS competitive. I don't ever like visit that. I just use the generic Heroes of the Storm Reddit.
So we have a bit of a stockpile of viewer questions here. And as per Summer's request, I will ask one of hers here first. So if you had to eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Pork.
Pork. Okay.
Because you got bacon, pulled pork. Actually, that's just about all you need. Like, if you don't have bacon, are you really gonna be living?
That's a good answer. I honestly wouldn't have. I feel like I probably would have said potato. Pork's a good one, man. I feel like I'm undervaluing bacon.
It sounds like you're undervaluing bacon. Like,
Don't like bacon. Don't like Reddit. What the heck's wrong with you?
It sounds like he's Canadian.
Maybe that's what it is.
And then another question from Summer. Actually, we have two questions that are kind of similar. So Summer asks, who on CCS2 would win in a fist fight? And Valkymer asked, kind of in the same vein, which member of CCS2 would win an arm wrestling event?
So
kind
I'm
of just like
out of both of those because my shoulders are completely screwed at the moment.
Okay.
Brainer actually goes and lifts weights, and he's doing EMT work, so he might be able to win in a fist fight. But he's a scrawny boy. I'd probably put it between Murad or Brainer.
All right. So let's see what else we got here.
We need the show match. Like this, it needs to happen. Now we got to see it.
An actual arm wrestling? Yeah.
And CCS retreat, let's go.
That would be so dope. CCS retreat.
So Valkymer asks, what is the highest gloss you've ever reached with your head?
I think this is about it right here. Like, can't get much more shiny than that. Like, I literally shaved before I popped on.
Nice. And then another question from Valkymer. Wii bowling tournament night, when? Do you play much Wii bowling?
I haven't played Wii bowling since I bought a Wii. And I stood in line for that. Which, small town, I was like the 6th person in line with 8 for sale. And I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
I gotta ask, like, as someone who plays bowling like competitively and has played Wii bowling, like, does it even equate remotely, or is it no?
No. Like, you can literally just flick your wrist in Wii Bowling and get a strike. Like, there's no compare. Like, I tried bowling like I did in bowling, and then I figured out that I could just flick my wrist and get the same result. It's like, why am I even trying then? It's like, I don't need to do steps or the swing or anything. It's like, I'll just flick my wrist and get a good score.
In bowling, do you use the finger holes? All
Yeah,
three? Do you use all three of them, or only two?
all three.
I had a buddy who he was getting over a substance, and so he went bowling all the time. And he got to the point where he stopped using the finger holes because he would just like cradle the ball like this, and just have like his fingers like touching the holes to like orient his hand, and then he would like bowl like this, and it was incredible because he would just have this perfect hook every time. Because like I don't know, I didn't go bowling with him that much, but every time I'd go, he would just like he just like chicken wing it, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, I know, like, you have to have, like, your fingertips, like, to bowl now, and if you don't use the thumb hole, it's not allowed to be drilled into the ball. Like, it has to be just the two holes. And, but that's, like, for leagues and stuff that they actually regulate it.
Yeah.
But,
So there's like a proper way you have to hold the ball. It's not even like how it's comfortable, or
I mean, sort
I
of.
know
Like,
nothing about it.
you can chicken wing the ball, but if you're not going to use the thumb hole, you can't have it drilled into the ball in a league.
Okay.
Like, you can't switch hands in the middle of a game. Like, you have a set average for your right arm, and if you want to bowl lefty, you have to have a set average for your left, and you can't swap between the two games or in the middle of one game. Because when I had surgery on my rotator cuff, I was like, I may have to bowl left-handed, and then they're like, yeah, you'll have to set a new average, and it's like, maybe I'll just take a couple weeks off instead.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Are there any exceptions made if, like, you kind of hurt your wrist during a game, or are you just kind of like you just got to sit out?
You're gonna either suck it up or kind of just go home and have a ghost bowl for you, which is like 10 pins under your average.
So another question from Valkymer. When are you going to add a bowling lane in your basement?
Well, I need a basement first. I only have a cellar that's like 20 square feet. It's small. It's got my furnace, it's got my water heater, and a Christmas tree that needs thrown away.
And the cat.
The cat likes to hide down there. He loves it. It's like, can go crawl under the house. The dogs can't get me. So he thinks it's the best place in the world.
A question from Asmachad. Are you still looking to play Zeratul, and would you be willing to trade it, like lessons for Zeratul, for bowling lessons?
I mean, I'm not the greatest teacher for bowling, so if you want bad advice, yes.
All right. Asmachad also asks, is PRC allowed to shout out Emily?
Yes. It is encouraged.
It's not like Wolf has to get permission. Shouldn't Chad ask Emily that? Oh my gosh, so many issues.
No, don't have to ask Emily. She'll appreciate the shout out. And then you clip it and send it to Brainer and just tell him, we shouted out your girlfriend before you could.
There's a question from Valkmer that. So Valkmer asks, what tips can you give us in heroes terminology to improve our bowling prowess?
Oh, to improve bowling. Look at Hogger and how he's going to hit stuff and try and make it all the way to the other side of the map without touching the lanes. Or would you be trying to go down a lane without going into outside of it? That'd probably be better. Figure out how you can use Hogger to get down a lane without going out of it.
Interesting.
Straight.
Yep.
I like it.
Is there anything in the reverse? Like, are there any like lessons or like principles of competitive bowling, or just like good bowling? Because like I've only just like played at parties that apply to doing well in Heroes of the Storm.
It's just a lot of concentration and trying to hit the same spots over and over and over again.
Hmm.
Like, if you're not hitting where you are from your normal spot, you either need to move forward, move back, move to the side, either direction, or slow or speed up your throw. Like, just like my dad can tell what that is easily. He's like, you should probably move forward. It's like, okay. It's like today, the first 4 games I played, it's like I was able to hit the same spot, and then halfway through it, I went from having to hold my hand like this to having to hold it like that with the ball. And that's what I needed to adjust in the last 2 games.
You played 6 games of bowling?
Yeah,
That
just
is
today.
that is so much. I feel like I've never played more than 2. It's always like you play a game, I'm like, oh, we can play another, and then like, okay, now we're super done. But 6 is a ton.
Yeah, normal league is like 3 games, and then with that, you'll have the team you're playing against. It's after each game, total pins wins, and then the 4th game is the total pins from all 3 games. So if you won 2 of the games by 10 pins total, and the other team beat you by 40 pins in the last game, well, they won total pins for the night.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I've only ever beat my dad in total pins for all 3 games once. And that one time, I only beat him 1 game. But I beat him by almost 100 pins. He bowled really bad, and I bowled really good.
That third game matters most.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I've definitely learned a ton about bowling. None of this I had any idea. I've always like thought about bowling league. I like even describe like me playing competitive Heroes of the Storm as like, oh yeah, it's like bowling league, but on the internet. But I actually have no idea what I'm talking about because bowling league is way more intense than I thought.
Get your own ball, get your own shoes. Don't use the house. Like, the house ball is meant to just go in a straight line. Getting a ball to curve into, like, right next to the head pin and the pin right next to it, like between those, that's the best spot to hit. And hitting that on a straight line is worse than having it coming in at an angle.
I didn't know that the balls did different things. I thought they were just different weight. That man,
Yeah,
fascinating.
like 16's like the heaviest you can get, but because they've changed how the inside of the balls are, you can actually get a lot more curve and control with the lighter balls. So like most people are going around 14 pounds because they can just kind of sling it right in there every time.
Hmm.
It used to be like, no, you want the 16-pound ball because it's going to carry through and hit everything.
Wow.
That actually transitions into another question from Bachman really well. He asked if you are able to show your custom bowling ball on screen.
I am not, because it's at the bowling alley.
Oh, you leave them at the alley. Okay.
Yeah, I have a locker out there.
Okay.
I didn't want to carry a 16-pound ball and shoes and.
It's 16 pounds. Wow.
Val,
Yeah.
what do you think he is? Like some kind of like regular bowler who doesn't have a locker at the alley? What are you doing, man? Come on. This guy's a pro.
Asmachad asks on the topic of bowling, how much mathematic calculation do you place in the spin of the ball and its relative position to your palm?
0.
0. Okay.
I am not a math person. I know where the ball's supposed to go, and that's where I try to throw it. If I miss my mark, the ball's going to hit significantly less pins.
Hmm.
It's ball hits basically the second arrow from the right every time. If I don't hit that, it's not a good ball.
Interesting. I never knew that there was like a sweet spot that you should always be aiming for. I just kind of anytime I've played like bowling as a kid or a teenager, I just kind of throw it and hope it doesn't go into the side lane.
And that's like what it depends on the ball. Like if you're throwing a ball that can only go in a straight line, well, you kind of want to hit the arrows right next to the middle arrow for that sweet spot. But other balls, I've seen some people that aim for the middle arrow, the ball goes all the way to the edge of the lane, and then it curves back in towards the back half of the lane to come into that sweet spot. I just do like a gentle curve from the second to the center.
Something I'm kind of curious about, in case there's anyone in chat who's wanting to kind of get into this, can you give us a rough idea what like the barrier of entry for getting into competitive bowling would be like? Like, what kind of price range are you looking at to get like entry level gear?
So you can get a good bowling ball for $120 if you buy them used, and they'll drill them to your hand, and you'll be fine with that. Like, and then if you want to buy a new one, you're looking at several $100s. It's like it's not really worth it. It's like most people replace their ball like every year or every couple of years, and
Wow.
I think like the top end ones go for like $400, and I think my dad gets a new one like every year or two because at the end of the year you usually get some kind of payout, and it's like I'll just go get a new bowling ball with this money. That's what I did with our payout one year. Is I because mine was chipping really bad right around the thumb, and it was actually starting to cut me. And it's like it's time for a new ball.
Wow.
So I have a black and green one that it's like you're 16-pound ball, and I think I want something lighter now. So
For sure.
when I get actually back into the league, I'll probably decide to get a lighter ball.
You gonna go 14 or 12?
Probably 14. 12's too light. It's like throwing a softball.
Yeah, no big deal. Just like a 12 pound softball. You know, whatever. That's the brick in you speaking.
Yes. Like I've thrown 14-pound balls, and it's like it still feels light because I've been throwing a 16-pound ball for like 8 years.
Is that going to be like a long learning curve, like switching weights of the ball? Like, will that take a long time to adapt, or do you think it'll be a quick one?
I think it'll be fairly quick. Like after a couple of weeks of just throwing it, it's like, well, this is what we're supposed to do.
How much of that like muscle memory that you're kind of describing applies to your play of Braymane or other heroes in the video game?
I think once you get a hero down like that, it's fairly easy to remember. It's, I mean, Greymane's was one of the people that helped me learn how to stutter step consistently because you have his W, and it's like every attack you should be moving, and it is almost timed perfectly to where you can continuously attack and move. Other people say Vol or Rain are really easy to do because they kind of have those internal things that let you know when attacks are supposed to go at an easy rate. But it took forever to get Greymane to be like muscle memory. Like I didn't think I understood the hero till I hit level 30.
What level are you now on Greymane?
61.
And what was your play like for people like me who are looking to like up their Greymane game? Like, was this just like slamming QM? Was this playing tri mode? Was this
It
just
was
scrims
I
or Storm League?
I slammed QM nonstop with him. Like and then I was slamming unranked. It's like because I had 5 people that were like, okay, play Greymane. It's like, okay, I'm gonna play Greymane. Or we'd have other people that wasn't the team, and it's like, I want to play Greymane, guys, because I always play tank. I'm like, okay, that's fine. So he's like the one hero that even when I was the tank main, it's like I want to play Grey main still.
So I mean that's solid. I mean like the muscle memory comes in clutch. It allows you to think and make other decisions. Like I know like for me like I still feel like for all the heroes like I don't have that muscle memory except for stutter stepping. Like I feel like I'm getting there with stutter stepping, but like definitely like so much of my brain is being used on like do this thing, click the button this way. So it's hard for me like I'm struggling to speak during team fights or during the game because I'm just so focused on like the mechanics.
Oh yeah, there's still people that I'm like that. It's like I tried to pick up Falstad the other day, and it's like, oh, the boomerang's out, and I have to press the button to make it explode, but my auto attacks are faster. If I press this button, it's like, okay, now I'm how many buttons into this now?
Yeah.
It's like I can't talk, guys. I'm confused here.
Well, now with the new fall stat with the flipping basic attacks, you have to like you have to wait for your auto and then throw your Q and hit one at the same time so you can get the secret weapon value for the maximum distance but get the most amount of autos with your frequent flyer and then be kiting hopefully backwards so that your boomerang is coming in at a slower rate. Oh my gosh. My
Oh, I
brain
haven't
can't.
got to that part yet. I'm still like standing still. Let's get those autos going.
Okay. All right, all right.
Or I'm walking forward into the boomerang. I don't have the walk back part yet. That's still a couple steps ahead.
Well, so what my next thing is like, all right, is I gotta calculate is the DPS of Falstead actually higher if I throw my boomerang behind me, E forward, and then start basic attacking? I thought about
Well,
that.
that's something I could do, except then you're missing out on all the damage that you can put out
Okay,
forward.
sure, but if you think about it, like, is the 100 from the explosion and the 120 from the actual cube projectile? That's like what, two Falstead autos? But like, if you could get three extra autos with the time that would take, it'd be mathematically worth it.
Maybe we just get in melee range and start, and then go backwards.
Maybe that might be the way to go as well. Excuse me. Um, in line with like the ridiculousness of that, like, do you have any hot takes on HOTS in Heroes? Maybe the competitive scene. Maybe hot takes about the CCS community. The roast of CCS. What?
I mean, CCS community is probably the best one I can think of. Like,
Oh, you do have some hot takes about CCS community. Let's go. Spill it.
let's see CCS become bigger than NGS. Like, let's make Nexomania the next big thing.
So you mean like now that Heroes Lounge is gone, there's an opportunity?
Yeah,
Okay,
make that bigger.
let's run with it. What would CCS need to do to make Nexomania explode during this next offseason? Because there's a huge opportunity, right? Heroes Lounge has left NA. People are going to need off-season NGS off-season teams. What do we have to do to pull that in there?
I think we just need to put some word out on Reddit. Like, I don't even remember where I found Heroes Lounge. Like, I don't think it was in Reddit. I can't remember what it was. I just randomly found it. Maybe my friend that found it. But we found that, like, oh, let's do this. But, like, Valk does a good job of, like, hey, this is our next development days. This is the next time we're doing this. This is when open houses are. So one Reddit post is easily going to throw, like, hey, there's still an NA league that's not NGS or the Heroes Lounge crowd.
Does the CCS does CCS need to change anything about the way that Nexomania runs, or do you like the kind of casual, laid back vibe?
I like the casual, laid back vibe. If we have to split, like, not all the maps are legal and all the maps are legal, okay. Like, I know some people like Blackheart's Bay and Haunted Mines, and other people don't. And other people like Sky Temple, but that's not an NGS. I love Sky. It's not here. And I'm sad about that.
I've heard very few people say that.
I take it you voted for Sky over Garden.
Oh yeah, Sky's the better map. Like you can win that map without ever fighting. That makes it fun. You have to think. It's like, well, there's two altars here. We can push with a Dahaka here. It's like, I remember like we were playing against a team that was significantly better than us in like season 8, and it's like, okay, well, we're just not going to fight them, and we got it to where they were core only, and so were we. No, we had like one keep, and we took all 5 of us to the top shrine, and we're like, okay, they're going to come fight us, and our global just goes bot because we had to hawk it, and he went bot when they all 5 showed up, and then won the game. It's like we don't even have to fight. Like we're losing every team fight at this point.
When they go
It's like,
low, we go high.
yeah, it's like that's you don't have a lot of those options in the current map pool. It's like Tomb's going to push its lanes, Garden's going to push its lanes, Alterac's going to push its lanes, Cursed is going to push its lanes. Like, how many other ones can you just not fight and win? It's pretty much Sky and Garden. Not Garden. Blackhearts.
Yeah.
What do you think that says about the community that those maps aren't wanted in the pool?
They like fighting. They want to just brawl. Which I like brawling too. Like, it's fun. It's like, can we kill you? Can we kill you? Oh, look, you stepped forward half an inch too far. Now we're going to kill you. I stepped forward too far. Now I'm dead. Oops. Which, it's a good thing to learn. It's like, what can I get away with? It's like, what, that first scrim that we had with PRC when Brainer was on the team? It's like, you could not stutter step. Like, I remember walking over to that camp and you had a quarter health and I killed you. And then I stole your camp. And you spent the whole entire time after that when you guys were chewing us out after beating us every game, stutter stepping and not taking damage from that camp.
It's true. I now know how to stutter step as Tychus.
I kind of just let my healer heal me. Because stutter stepping's hard with Tychus.
It is tough.
I don't have that kind of APM. I just play tanks.
Yeah, you have to body block people. That's even worse.
Then stutter stepping on Tychus?
Yes.
Oh,
I would rather stutter step with Tychus than body block.
wow.
Stutter stepping's hard for me because like I want to auto. Like it's hard to like cancel my own autos so that I'm not, stationary for that moment. So I think stutter stepping to body block is very difficult.
I think I remember like a video that Kyle Ferguson had that Crush was in. It was like a review, and he literally told Crush to stop stutter stepping because he missed out on a little bit of damage that could have changed the game. He's like, sometimes you literally plant your feet in turret, and it's like, that goes against everything I've been hearing for like the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It's like, unless you're Tychus or Tass, you move and stutter step. And then you have like Kyle Ferguson like, no, stop. You need to just plant your feet and do the damage.
I mean, auto attacks are OP. I think about that all the time. So many situations where like, if the tank would have autoed there, if the mage would have autoed there, if the healer would have autoed there, that would have been a kill. So auto attacks, like missing an auto can be so important. So many team fights, you see someone who escapes at 200 health, that's one tank auto and one healer auto, or one mage who Q auto W Q E instead of just QWE, and that would have been the game. Auto was OP.
Autos are OP, which is why they're the only thing I can play. There's less buttons to press unless you're Falstad.
That's true. That's very true.
And Zul'jin has a lot of buttons to press too.
Yeah, Zul'jin can get quite a few. Other like lessons like that, like things that maybe that you have in the gray main brain that other people could benefit from.
Probably like try an AI game and see how far you can get his W to go. Like, try and get it above 40. Try and get it above 50. See how high you can get that number to go. Like, I think after 99 it becomes infinite.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you can get like infinite a couple times there, try and get infinite in quick match. Like, and unranked, and like if I'm hitting 40 autos, it's like that resets the cooldown and it's good when I drop it. Like, try and make sure you get the value out of W. Because there's nothing worse than you just press W and you're leaving the fight because something went wrong. It's like, because now your damage is just horrendous for 15 seconds.
Yeah. I definitely, that's something I'm working on in Greymane, is like making sure that I activate W at the right time, and I don't accidentally like Q and then W, so that there's not enough wave to get my W stacked on, because that's just like so important. It's just like Greymane suddenly does twice as much damage. Don't miss out on this.
Yeah, it's like you Q, E, and then Q again, and like the wave's mostly dead. Like, you don't have to really use W for that.
Yeah.
But then it's like, when you do that and then your camp's up, you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't pressed W there.
Yep.
And it's like, well, this camp's gonna take twice as long. And then you're like, hey, why is your camp taking so long? I don't have W.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
So embarrassing.
that's why you're late. It's like, yeah, that's why I'm late. Sorry.
I have a question that's a little different topic, but I want to make sure that I ask this while I have you here. What's the deal with the pings at 6 in the morning?
It was just in the captain's chat, and then it's like, captain's chat's not being used. I want to do something. And like for a while, it's just me and Valk pinging each other. And then it's like, oh, I'm gonna add something. And I added another person, and just kept adding people. And then the new season rolled around, and the mods are like, yeah, stop doing this. This is for important things. It's like, but no one's using the captain's chat. Like, I think like the last 7 posts are map bans and hero skin bans. It's like, yeah, there's real important things being done here. So it's like, well, now that I'm in off topic, I can add the dwarf. I can add other people, like Fujin. Every once in a while I'll add Stoke, and he's like, why did I get pinged? It's like, why not?
Wolfe
like,
just goes to the Rolodex and just says, at this, at this, at this.
Yeah, and then it's like, I think there's a couple times where it's like, I don't do it because I'm sleeping till like 8 o'clock, and people are like, where's the ping? Are you okay? Like, I'm sleeping. It's like, I'm not allowed to do that. I'm like, I don't work on the weekend.
I'd forgotten about that, Corinne. Thanks for bringing that up.
It was just something to fill the chat. Like,
That's actually
talking, and it's like, okay. Like, most of the NGS chats are fairly empty. It's like, if it gets people to put a picture of a dog or a cat or some food, okay. Those are all fun things to look at.
nice. So a question that has come up a few times on the show now. Do you have any pet peeves in Heroes of the Storm? Any things that you see happen a lot in Storm League or Quick Match that it's just, anytime you see it, you're just like, man, that guy sucks. Like, even if you don't know him.
I do my absolute best to not go into Storm League unless there is at least 2 of us in a party, because we can at least cover something and at least be able to help. Ideally, there's 3 or 4 of us, and that's usually enough to carry the game. But it's like, I hate not having comms. Like, I want words. If, like, I was playing with Emmerin the other night, and like the first game we got hard smurfed. Like, there was a level 57 account, and he had like a level 50 Zeratul, and he just, it's like, okay, well, you played the game, and now we're just gonna kill you. And then the next two games were fairly balanced. But Emeren's a good healer, and I think I played Tychus in one of the games, and it's like Stormlink doesn't really know how to deal with a Tychus, it seems like. Most tanks seem to struggle against. I'm going to put 70% of your health bar down the drain in 2 seconds. Which, I mean, same can be said for some people in NGS too. I mean, I've been on the receiving end of like Tychus, and it's like, yeah, even with Johanna, I'm not living through this. Like, please help.
Yeah, he's a tough one. I still haven't figured out how to deal with that. It's very annoying.
I suggest murder. all the CC immediately and hope Anduin can't pull him.
So you said that it bugs you when there's like not having comms. Do you ever, is that something that you ever encounter? Um, I know that there's kind of a meme of Brainer never shutting up, but like, do you guys ever encounter issues in CCS2 where like, people start getting a little on tilt and comms go quiet? Like,
Oh yeah, we had a match like that like 2 weeks ago on Infernal. Like, first half of the game was just awful. Like, level I think like 13 hit, and Brainer just started mouthing off and like, hey, we need to do this, and it's like game went from like completely in their favor to where they just got ruined. It's like, not like we lost the first game like fairly bad, and it's like none of us were in the right space. I think I was about to go to the ER with my wife that night, so I wasn't in the game anyways. Like,
yeah.
but he got us on track, and sometimes I don't think we even catch that we're not talking as much as normal.
Mm-hmm. My follow up to that was going to be, do you guys have any like tricks or things you usually do to kind of get back on track? But it kind of sounds like that's Brainer kind of reeling people back in.
Yeah, that's generally the most consistent. If someone catches it, we'll try. But we have to catch it and realize it, and that doesn't always happen.
Hmm.
Do you guys like ever get tilted on the team? Like, is the quiet just because you guys are like just kind of like being more reserved, or is the quiet ever because like people are pissed?
Have you seen Brainer try and swap the players and their heroes around?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Murad's thrown his headset from that. Like, apparently Murad's kids asked, like, "Are you okay?"
Oh no.
Like, I mean, it's nice that he hasn't like done that in an actual NGS match, but it's frustrating. And then like, if some of us are tilting, like we're like more of the quiet tilt, and that's not good either. It shuts communication down.
Hmm.
I know when I start screwing up, I get quiet.
Mm-hmm. So we've kind of gone over, how you kind of came to find HOTS, playing with your friends, and going through Chair League and Heroes Lounge, and into NGS and meeting CCS. Um, if there's anyone out there who's like, kind of new to the scene, or just on the first few steps of their journey, do you have any kind of bits of advice, like things you wish you knew when you first started that you know now?
I would suggest playing like all the heroes on free rotation till you have them to 5. Like, you're going to figure out what you like significantly faster than buying the new hotness every time you have enough gold to buy it. Because that was my thing. It's like, oh, I'm going to play every hero to 5. And then I'll at least know a little bit of how the hero work. And if I know how those heroes work at least a little, it's going to help know how to interact later, even if it's on a basic level.
Makes sense.
Not to mention you're gonna get a lot of gold that way.
I'm sitting at like 40,000 right now.
40,000 gang checking in.
And I know that's like probably on the low end for a lot of people. Like, there's no heroes to buy. I was never going to buy the Vikings, but Blizzard to say like, hey, you're going to get this in a chest. That's like, I can't re-roll this because I don't have it, and it's a legendary, but I don't want it
How come?
because I'm terrible at it. It's like I can't control 3 heroes. I have trouble with 1.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad enough trying to play Samuro. It's like, I don't know how to use Illusion Master. Like, I even asked BMed a lot of questions about it. It's like, nope, not for me. Like, I was happy that I was like, this stuff he told me, it was like, oh, I was able to kill Deathwing because of what you told me. And it's like, but I'm still terrible at it. It's like, it's like I
Whenever.
thought,
Go ahead.
yeah, I got the Herf swap trick down. I was like, oh, this is awesome. That's about where my knowledge ends.
I feel the same way with like whenever anyone asks like, oh, how do you choose between Raynor and the Banshee or the Hyperion and the Banshee? I'm like, well, when I can micro Raynor perfectly, then I'll probably take another thing that I'd have to stutter step with. So I definitely feel you there. I got one last question from my side here that I can think of, and that's about the CCL and HGC. You mentioned HGC. I know you did some CCL mock drafting. I'd love to hear, like, we've talked about, the amateur scene, we talked about other stuff, like, what's your relationship with, the pro scene? Like, are you a watcher? Are you a studier? Are you, like, a big fan of an org or a team or a player?
So before HGC, Cloud9 was like the team I loved watching. Like watching Dunk Train, and then like I thought that was fun to watch. And especially because Tempo Storm was just ruining everyone at the time with Dread, and it's like, come on, I want to see you guys lose. And like Cloud9 did like the reverse sweep where they had to win like 9 games to win whatever tournament it was, like, because they were knocked down to the loser bracket, so they had to win everything. They beat Tempo back in the winners bracket. Well, that put like Cloud9, that put Tempo into the losers bracket, so they had to play again. And it was like the longest set I remember watching. And then after like that first BlizzCon, Cloud9 was done. And oh, I remember watching the ABBA Murky game with Tassadar and like Leo. And it's like, you threw that draft. Like, you picked Murky, Tass, and ABBA. What is this? And then like they won, and I'm like, how did you win? Like, I don't understand this. And they're like, yeah, we just like knew if we weren't like in a losing position, like where we still had like a couple keeps, that we could win this game, because you can't run Cursed Hollow all the way back within ABBA, or a Murky ABBA shielded with a Tash shield that's just gonna run you down the whole game. It's like, that's like past my knowledge, but it was fun to watch.
Definitely.
But
And so are you still like a big CCL fan to that same level?
I liked watching Sidestep Kings because they had Fan as like in June and them. So I didn't watch a lot of the other orgs. I kind of wish I had. Like, I always intended to like go back and watch like the other games, and it's like never did. Like, I couldn't get into the CCL like I did HGC.
Is
And
it, can you put your finger on a reason why, or?
I think I just have less time nowadays. Like, let's see. HGC ended in 2018, so my kid was probably like 2, so like not like going 100 miles an hour doing everything, like just doing little things at the time. It's like, not a lot more I can do with you, and plus I'm working nights at that time, and I'd be able to sleep till 10 o'clock and or 11 o'clock in the morning before I had to do anything.
Mm.
And now it's like up at 6, at work by 7, off at 3:30, off to school, home by 9:30, practice.
Gotcha.
It's like I don't know what sleep is at this point.
Sleeps for the weak. Sleeps for the sticks. The bricks don't need to sleep.
Yeah.
So what's kind of next on the plate for you then? It sounds like your plate's, pretty full, but like what do you have you got planned down the road?
Uh, I've got 6 months left of school. Like that's what I'm working on finishing. Being done with school, get my EPA certification for refrigerant for HVAC, get my journeyman test passed because I don't have to have the 2 years done to take the test. So I can take the test before I'm done with school, have it passed, and go to an employer and be like, I have this done, I just need the time and I'm a journeyman. So they'll be able to say, okay, well, we're going to start you out at like 25 an hour instead of 20 an hour. Because no one does trade jobs anymore. Like, everyone that's going through the HVAC course, like, they went from like 15 people for a big class, and once like COVID hit, they went from 15 as a big class to 60. Because it's like, what didn't shut down? Well, everyone wants heat and air conditioning. Always.
True.
True.
Yeah, wow. Class of 60. That sounds mind-boggling.
Yeah, they have that class split up between 4 different classes. Instead of. And then it's also only 2 nights a week instead of like the old 4 days a week.
Maybe next up after that should be teaching. Teaching the class. It's got 60 people.
That's what some of the teachers did. They're like, yeah, when I was working for this company, I just go work side jobs for rental companies. And they're like, I made like $60,000 that year as side jobs. They're like, how'd you report that on taxes? And teacher's like, what tax money? I didn't make this money. It's like, that was cash. I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, I've got a broken air conditioner outside my house, and it's like, I'm glad it's not summer yet because I need to fix it. But I need to actually open up the unit and actually go through the steps to figure out what's wrong. It's like, it's probably a capacitor because it's the most common thing that breaks in your air conditioning unit. It's a $20 part that you pay someone to fix it for 150.
Gotta love the margin.
Yeah, they were like, air conditioning is like doctor stealing. Like, you're going to go there, you're going to tell them what it costs, and they're going to pay you because they want air conditioning and heat.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right. One last question for you. Actually, I said I had my last one. Got one more. This one comes from Chad, who's been very active in the chat today. Thanks, Chad, for being here. Perfect name for a Smurf. Smurf account.
Oh. Definitely hot like stoic.
I like stick. All right.
You heard it here first, folks.
Maybe if I make my 5th flipping Smurf account. Excellent. Well, Corinne, do you have any last questions before we let Wolf do his shout-outs?
There was one question from chat that I did miss. Which power metal band would CCS2 be? And what song would you play at every concert? I want to make sure don't miss any chat questions.
I would personally pick Powerwolf because they're my favorite like power metal band at the moment.
Nice.
And it'd probably be Demons Are a Girl's Best Friend for the song.
He just knew. When you know, you know.
When you know, you know.
All right, Wolf, you've been an amazing guest. Do you have any shout outs tonight?
Shout out to you guys for putting on the chat show. It's always fun to watch, even if it's the next day. Shout out to the CCS community. The guys, gals, everyone, they're fantastic. Like, everyone knows something that someone else doesn't. Like, you'll find information that you don't have. Shout out to Valk's mom. Not gonna let Prince shout it out today. Shout out to my team. They're awesome. We got a tough match and we're looking to beat CCS.
When's that match going to be?
Tuesday,
What time?
11 EST.
Okay. Tuesday, 11 EST.
It's gonna be a late one.
All right.
Let's go ahead and shout out Emily tonight.
Excellent. Any other shout outs to make on the list?
Got the team, got you guys. Valk's mom, Emily for once. I think that covers me.
Sounds Gucci. Wolf, you've been an amazing guest. I've done my due diligence, and we have next week's guest lined up for those of you in chat, all few of you that have made it here with us. Next week's guest will be the Crushinator himself of CCS3, right here on HLS, twitch.tv/HLS Stoic at 11 p.m. Eastern. Crush will be talking to us about all of the things that make the Crushinator the Crushinator. I think that's it. Wolf, you've been great. Kryn, thanks for being here with me. Chat, you guys have been amazing throughout all of this. We appreciate you. We hope to see you back next week. Good luck, Wolf, in the match against CCS 1, 11 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Until then, everybody, hope you have an excellent evening and a great week. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.